about that. All right, so let's move on to the NFL Sunday. We got one Sunday left of which always makes me sad. Only one more NFL Red Zone day. But yeah, so I just wrote down some teams that I wanted to talk about, and basically, I wrote down, do you buy this team or not? And I'm hearing some stuff about a few teams. I mean, first of all, these are the teams that I'm just out on. Okay, I'm out on Tampa. I'm out on Minnesota. Okay, I was never in on New England, so I can't be out on them. And I don't buy any of this Green Bay nonsense either. So, which of those teams you want to talk about first?
God, all right. Let's talk about Tampa Bay because.
Okay.
Is this like a Tiger Woods kind of thing where, Sunday at a major, people just crumble around? Like, what the? I mean, now, granted, I guess I shouldn't really say that. I mean, Carolina, they're not that good, okay?
Right.
And some of these, like the Rams suck this year, okay? I'm trying to think of who else he had a comeback win against. I mean, Arizona.
New Orleans.
He had to go to overtime against Arizona. Yeah, New Orleans. Like, these teams aren't that good. So I have to think that when he's playing a better team, he's not just going to be able to sort of play like crap for 2 or 3 quarters and then come back in the fourth quarter. Now, granted, he played probably his best game of the year this week. But some of that can be, maybe Carolina should try covering Mike Evans. You might give that a shot. It might change. It might help you out a little bit.
You might want to cover the only guy that they can throw the ball deep to. You might want to cover that guy. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's really infuriating because Tampa's not good. This is a garbage team that doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs at all. Okay,
and they're behind. Get a home playoff game.
Right, they're behind in every game. Okay, they're always behind. Like, that always happens. And then Brady comes through with a couple of bullshit drives in the fourth quarter, and it's like, you know what? Fuck off, Brady. Like, enough of this shit. I'll go through some of this in my New Year's resolutions here, but I've had it with this garbage. And the thing is, if you're going to play, they're going to get a home playoff game against the Cowboys. If I'm going to pick a team that's favored to win a game and can find a way to fuck it up, it's the Cowboys.
Yep.
They're playing the one team that has no business hanging on to a lead at all. And I feel like the same thing's going to happen. The Cowboys are going to be up by 14 going into the fourth quarter, and Brady's just going to complete 5-6 passes to Mike Evans, and they're going to win. It's just I will say this: it does make the playoffs really fun. It does make them a lot of fun, but I'm not. The good thing is I'm not worried at all that Tampa's going to go to the Super Bowl. Even if they win one playoff game, they're not winning a playoff game on the road. So I'm not really worried about them. But it is infuriating to watch them do this every week and nobody stop them.
Yeah.
I mean, Carolina, you have all backups in the secondary. Why do you not keep a safety over the top? How are you allowing Mike Evans to just run past you? It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about Green Bay. I know Green Bay beat the crap out of Minnesota. I'm not sure what that means. I mean, Minnesota's been blown out by.
Does anybody buy Minnesota? Come on. I mean, really?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. So I'm sorry. I don't think. Green Bay's for real now. Seriously. I'm expecting, your text to me yesterday was great. It's the annual Green Bay gets into the playoffs and gets smoked by San Francisco again. It's like, This happens every year. We might as well do it again. And right now San Francisco is the 2 seed, so that's who they would play. And I'm sorry, Green Bay has no chance. None.
Well, I just think it's hilarious. In the NFC, it's basically, it's just going, okay, who do you buy into? And it's kind of like, the Cowboys, Minnesota, Eagles, they got a lot of injuries. Jalen Hurts hasn't played in a few weeks. Tampa Bay, God, fuck no. The Giants, Daniel Jones, come on, no. And then whoever the 7 seed is, I'm trying to think. It could be Seattle, it could be Green Bay. It's like, really? I don't buy it. It's like, who do you love? I don't love anybody in the NFC.
Yeah, I will say that the NFC playoffs are going to be tremendous. It's going to be amazing because every game you're going to have no idea what's going to happen. No, I mean Minnesota can't put 2 good games together in a row. They struggle with bad teams. They've got 11 wins by 1 score. I mean, it's bizarre. They have and by the way, Clark, they have a negative point differential.
Yeah,
they're 12-4. They're -19 on the season. How does that happen?
They're not
First
going to
of
make the playoffs next year. I'm sorry. They're not going to. They're going to win like 7 games. Okay, they're not making the playoffs next year.
I don't know how it happens, number one. And number two, why can't that happen to the Dolphins? Honestly. If this fucking team can win 12 games, why can't the Dolphins win 12? I mean, come on.
Years, it can't happen to the Dolphins.
One time. We can't get one. Ridiculous. Goddamn ridiculous. So no, I don't. I mean, Minnesota, like they may play Minnesota played the Giants. They played the Giants last week, and they had to win on a last-second field goal. So they might play the Giants again. And like, no, we don't believe in the Giants, but
I don't believe in that. Could be a great game. I don't believe in either team. I don't know who the hell's going to win.
Gonna be tremendous. So here's a team with some real problems. Philadelphia.
Yeah.
They've run into they are backsliding, and their offense looks pretty bad. Now granted, they didn't run the ball again. This is a chronic problem in the NFL. These teams don't run the ball enough, especially when they've got their backup quarterback in the game.
Yeah.
They don't run the ball enough. They're throwing the ball too much. And Philly's in serious trouble. Now, look, the Giants don't have to play anybody. They can rest their starters if they want to. So the Eagles really should win the next game, but we'll see. And the thing is, like, I guess my question for you was, if Philly loses and San Francisco gets the number 1 seed, do you like San Francisco to go to the Super Bowl? Because I do.
Yeah, they only have 2 games. They're at home. Look, if they can run the ball, and their defense has gotten healthy, then this is the formula that got them to the Super Bowl a few years ago. So, and it's the NFC. I don't, people can go, I don't really trust San Francisco. Well, I don't trust these other teams. So you can, and like I said multiple times, through over the course of the season, whoever can go in the NFC, whoever can get into the playoffs and play their style, their way, and do what they want to do, they're going to the Super Bowl. So they've got a great shot. So we'll see. If the Eagles lose, now even if San Francisco doesn't get the 1 seed, I mean they're going to get, probably 2 home playoff games. Right. So I mean they could still get into the NFC, and then if you get into the NFC Championship game, I mean you can make it to the Super Bowl. So
yeah, I mean I think the Eagles they're going to have to get Jalen Hurts back if they're going to win any playoff games. But yeah, it's and all the injuries they've had. They lost their right tackle. They got 2 of their corners out. I mean, they've got just, and this is kind of the case with the Dolphins. Basically, the whole season, the Dolphins were teetering on the edge of too many injuries, and then this week it all came down on them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? All their best guys were out. The guys that they need to win were all out, and it kind of killed them.
Yep.
So Philadelphia may be in the same position where it's just. They're not, in order to win in the NFL, you have to be getting healthy in December. And San Francisco is getting healthy, and the rest of these teams aren't.
Yep.
So then I just got some teams, like we talked about Dallas a little bit already, but 2 teams that I find interesting in the playoffs that, I'm really excited to see how they do is the Chargers and the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I don't think either team could win 2 playoff games against Kansas City, Buffalo, or Cincinnati. But, stranger things have happened. I didn't see the Bengals going to the Super Bowl last year either.
The Chargers would be the 6 seed or the 5 seed?
Right now, the Chargers are the 5 seed.
Right.
So,
the Ravens just lost. Okay.
Right. So if, Chargers, Jacksonville, that could be the first round game, probably likely, because I just don't see Tennessee winning with Josh Dobbs at quarterback or whatever they're doing. I think Jacksonville's likely to beat them next week. So I don't know about either of those teams as Super Bowl wise, but again, the Chargers are one of those teams that are starting to get their guys healthy now, and Bosa's supposed to be coming back. So, if the Chargers are a team that if they could get hot, get on a run, you never know. You never know, because we've seen it. Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cincinnati, they've all had games this year where they're just a little bit off.
Yeah, my only thing is it's tough because if you're, for any of those AFC teams, because you may end up having to beat, like, in 2 consecutive weeks, the Chiefs and the Bills, or the Chiefs and the Bengals, or the Bengals and the Bills, or the Bills and the Chiefs. Like, that's really difficult to do. So that's one of those things where it's just going to be like, maybe it's just based on what the draw is and who you have to go through, and whoever's healthiest, that's who's going to make it through. I don't know.
Yeah. 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 So, I think both those teams could be dangerous. I'm really happy with how Jacksonville's playing. I think it's great that, they're going to make the playoffs after it looked like they started out the season. They looked really good and then they just,
I think Trevor Lawrence's last, 6-7 games or something, he's been ridiculously good. So, and that's what you expected coming out of college, right? It's just last year, when you have a bad NFL coach, named Urban Meyer.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
That's an understatement. Listen, I mean, there are plenty of teams with bad NFL coaches. Urban Meyer was a travesty as an NFL coach. That was a disaster.
Yeah.
So, talking about quarterbacks, I mean, like, I was watching the Raiders 49ers game yesterday, and I was thinking about this. Like, okay, so they take Derek Carr out, and the Raiders play better without Derek Carr?
Yeah.
Like, that's this. So I know people are going to be after Derek Carr. The Raiders are probably going to move on from him, which is why they weren't playing him, because they don't want him to get hurt. He's probably going to go to another team, right? Because the demand for quarterbacks is just too high. You've got, somebody's going to get him. But is this another Russell Wilson situation where he just doesn't have it anymore? Because he couldn't play well with Josh McDaniels as his coach, and they've got plenty of offensive talent.
They got Devontae Adams. He's one of the best receivers in the league.
I mean, so it's really concerning to me. Now, look, as a Dolphins fan, if you told me, hey, we're going to give up 2 first-round picks for Derek Carr, would you do it? I would. I think it's worth the risk. But, man, I have major concerns about the way this has gone this year. And after we've seen, like I texted you, how many of these quarterback trades have worked out? I mean, Stafford and Goff, they both kind of worked out, right? They won the Super Bowl with Stafford. Goff's been playing well this year.
That's pretty good, yeah.
But most of them, they really don't. Carson Wentz has been a disaster in 2 trades, right? Russell Wilson that's the worst quarterback situation in the league is Denver. Because they have Russell Wilson, they're stuck with him, and he's signed to a long-term huge deal.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson got traded. Deshaun Watson has not been good. Now I'll give him some more time. But
he hasn't played well. He was too busy.
A lot of these quarterbacks.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. No, he's not loose enough. That's what it is. It's so I don't know about these quarterback trades, man. And this is going to be something that happens now in the NFL going forward. This is going to be happening a lot. Because the demand for quarterbacks is so high now. If you don't have one, you might as well kiss your season goodbye.
Yeah. So, can we just take a second? Carson Wentz, God, he sucks. Okay? He cannot be starting. In week 1 next year, he cannot be a starter. He has to be the 2nd or 3rd string quarterback on some team. Okay? Because this is just bullshit. He's just bad. Okay? We've got too much evidence. He's just bad. Also, Matt Ryan, washed. He's done. Okay? Just enough.
I don't know about Matt Ryan.
He may just be in a bad situation. I'll grant you that.
I said it. Yeah, I said it earlier this season. He cannot be playing on a bad team. If you got Matt Ryan, you have to be a good team. Like you can't be. The Colts were just a mess this year, and so I did kind of feel bad for him. But
for instance, do you think if say San Francisco had Matt Ryan right now?
I don't think Matt Ryan's any better than what they have.
Okay. Okay. No, I just wanted to see where you kind of were. Okay.
I mean, but I think he could. But he would. By the way, if he was their quarterback, no, he'd be playing well. Like because he's played with Shanahan before, and he was really good. So I think he'd be doing really well. I think most quarterbacks would be really good in San Francisco. You know what I mean? Like, because they wanted Kirk Cousins. Like, that's the thing that came out recently. Like, they were really interested in him, talking to Minnesota, see if they get him, a few years ago. Not now, but, so look, and, as a Dolphins fan, I would take Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins in a heartbeat. You wouldn't have to convince me at all. I would take him today. Like, problem.
I don't think Kirk Cousins is available because if you're Minnesota, why would you give up Kirk Cousins? Like, he's putting up numbers and they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So, any other NFL thoughts?
Who do you think's going to win tonight? Because we got the Bills
tonight.
Game. Yeah.
Tonight, I like Cincinnati at home. I think Cincinnati gets it done. I don't know. They had some defensive guys out, so I don't know what the deal is with that. But they have most of their offensive guys. But they did lose one of their offensive linemen.
Yeah,
I think it's their center. I think so. That's going to be an issue because the Bengals need every offensive lineman they can get. But I think Cincinnati's going to be really scary in the playoffs.
Well, especially if they only got to play 2 games and it's at home.
I think Joe Burrow has got this thing down to a science now. I think he's figured out the calibration between when to go deep, when to check it down, when to run. I think he's really getting a hang of what to do, as the quarterback. So yeah, I do. Yeah, I like Cincinnati tonight. There's basically, if Cincinnati wins, then they would move ahead of Buffalo into the 2 spot, but Kansas City would be the 1 seed. And if Kansas City loses next week, Cincinnati could take over the 1. But I don't think Kansas City is going to lose to the Raiders.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, because Cincinnati has 4 losses. Okay.
Right.
Right.
But they did beat. But if Cincinnati wins tonight, they would have beaten Buffalo and Kansas City. So.
Right.
Pretty impressive. I still, I haven't been knocked off of Buffalo yet. If you asked me today, I'd probably say Buffalo, San Francisco in the Super Bowl. That would probably be my pick.
Yeah.
I know Buffalo's got some issues, but I'm not off of them yet because I just think, when it comes down to it in these games where you have to, I just think Buffalo's just going to be very difficult to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you can make a case for any of those 3 teams. It's tough for me to. I don't know. Kansas City. There's been times where I'm like, "What's wrong with Kansas City?" There's been times I'm like, "What's wrong with Buffalo?" Cincinnati seems to be peaking at the right time, I guess. So
I think Cincinnati is well rounded, but they don't have like the same knockout punch that Buffalo and Kansas City do.
Right.
They don't. They're not going to beat you by 30. They'll beat you, right? And it'll be because of how well rounded Cincinnati can do everything well. They can run the ball well. They can throw the ball well. Their pass rush is good. The secondary is pretty good. They have everything at every level. So that's why they're difficult to beat. And that's why they play in all these close games.
Yeah.
All right. So before we